Welcome everyone. In this video we are going to cover OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities that can help you to excel your bug bounty journey if you pay attention to them in a serious manner. Before we start, let's understand what is OWASP and what they do. OWASP is a non-profit organization that provides us with the free resources and tools on the latest vulnerabilities available, and they release a list of vulnerabilities that are most common in current times. So in this video we have latest vulnerabilities released by OWASP in 2025. So let's start with the first one we have in our list. The first one we have is broken access control. Now, what is broken access control? Let's understand this first. Suppose you have granted with some permissions at a company and you have to modify a few things, but you have only some kind of privileges under which you can only modify files that has on your system. But somehow you get access to the admin account and now you can access every other system on the company. That is how broken access control works. Basically, a user can access resources that he is not permitted to access. Now, in the vulnerabilities area, this can occur in the IDOR vulnerability, which we have covered in our one of the lectures of bug bounty course, where we have practically performed IDOR vulnerability exploitation. Now, what happens in IDOR vulnerability is that you can access other users' ID just by changing some parameter units. For example, you are accessing your account whose UID is 001 or 100, but you changed it to 1002 or 002. Now what will happen is, if there is a broken access control vulnerability present on the application, you will be able to access other users' account, and in most of the cases the UID 0 is for the admin. So if the broken access control is available and if you enters just 0, you might even get admin's account on your dashboard. So that's how broken access control works. It has some more types like horizontal access and vertical access that we have performed in the lecture of broken access control, and we have explained everything in a deeper manner. Also, this vulnerability helps us in privilege escalation if we gained access to some accounts. Now this is it for the first vulnerability. Now let's move on to the next one, that is security misconfigurations. Now suppose you have an account on Instagram or any other website that requires a login. Now if you type just simply /admin in the URL, you will be redirected to the admin panel, and if there is a security misconfiguration on that application, you will just enter username as admin and password as admin, and you will get the access to admin panel. This is what security misconfigurations is. Basically, a system or a web application is deployed with the default and unsafe credentials or incorrect settings that shouldn't be there. The major impact it can cause is in information disclosure, data leaks, and even server compromises. Now third, we have software supply chain failures. In very simple language, let's understand this as a software application is just like a house. So when you build a software application and build a house, you buy different items from the market to build your house. You don't go create steel from scratch, you don't go create cement from scratch. Instead, you just go buy to the shops and you buy them. Now similarly, when a web developer is developing an application, they do not go craft libraries, go craft plugins and frameworks from scratch. They just use it because everyone uses it. Now what happens is, if some library has a particular weakness in their code and an attacker somehow identifies that weakness in that library, now what the attacker will do, they will just attack that particular vulnerability. And since the code of the application is very much secured, very much protected, but the plugin, the library had a weakness and that library lies inside the code of the application, and the attacker gains access to the application, to the server, because that library was inside that code. This is what this third vulnerability is about. In simple sentence, if I have to summarize this vulnerability, is that this happens when an application is compromised because of a library or plugin that it depends on instead of its own code. Now let's move on to the fourth vulnerability, that is cryptographic failure. Now what happens in cryptographic failure is your data is poorly encrypted and anyone can decrypt it. For example, when you are chatting with someone on the WhatsApp, it says it is end-to-end encrypted. That means your messages, your images are getting transferred to the WhatsApp server in an encrypted way, and from the server to the receiver it is going also in an encrypted way, and then it gets decrypted when the receiver receives it. But what happens in cryptographic failure, that when your data is in transit, that means when your data is traveling to the server, it is not fully encrypted or it is not even encrypted, and some attacker can interrupt that data and read your messages. That means your data is just simply traveling in plain text, or maybe it can be your password as well. But what happens if it is encrypted but it is not strong? This happens in case of if the encryption is in MD5 or in SHA-1. Now this is where weak hashing happens. I have shown this in a lecture where we have extracted passwords and data from a database in SQL injection, and we got some hashes, and we just went to a password cracking website where we just dumped the hash and it decrypted it because the hash was in MD5. And this is how hash dumps and data leaks happen if there is a cryptographic failure in an application. And it eventually makes password cracking easier for the hackers. They just have to dump the hashes into their system and just run a hashcat script, and it will just simply decrypt all the password, all the chats, whatever they want. Next up, we have injections. Now what we meant with the injections is not the syringe that a doctor uses, but instead we meant an untrusted input that a user gives to the database or to the application, and that gets executed as a command or a query. The prime example we have is SQL injection. For example, if SQL injection is present on a website, when the user enters a SQL command, it will give results according to that command. It can be a database dump command, it can be anything, and we have covered this in our SQL injection lectures as well. We have completely covered it practically, how SQL injection actually works and how you can test SQL injection on vulnerable sites as well. And with SQL injection, what you can do is, if a website has SQL injection, just enter a command. For example, you want the customer details or you want student details, just enter a simple command that you just select student email IDs from the database name students, and you will just simply get the email IDs and the credentials of students. So this is how actually SQL injection works if the website is not secured and it has injections vulnerability. Now what is more dangerous than SQL injection is command injection. What command injection does is, suppose you are on a movie streaming website and you just want to watch movies. It has a command injection enabled. So instead of watching movies, you thought of trying a command on the input field, and you just entered a ls command or any command that is used in the Linux environment, and instead of giving you list of the movies, it provided you some directories. And once it provided you directories, it is just simply clear that this website is simply vulnerable to command injection, and you can go further on. You can even get the admin privileges on the streaming application, and this is how some servers get compromised because they had command injection vulnerability present. And these injections can cause login bypass, database dumps, and the most dangerous thing is remote code execution. Now sixth, we have insecure design. Now what does this mean is, the coder was just simply using ChatGPT to generate codes and he was scamming the organization. I'm not kidding, this is what actually happening in today's world. People are doing vibe codings and this is creating insecure design, because when you code with the AI and you don't know about anything about security, and security isn't even in your mind during the designing of website, you just completely ignore it, and this will eventually create many security flaws in your application. Some examples are unlimited OTP attempts. There is no rate limit for failed login attempts. You can literally reset anyone's password without a token. Anyone using your website, if they have a coupon, they can use that coupon for multiple times and you won't even know, because you were just vibe coding and you created a vulnerability of insecure design. So the key idea behind this vulnerability is not a coding bug but a thinking flaw. Next up, we have authentication failure. Now what happens in this vulnerability is that your login, your session, the identity management of a web application server is broken. Now what does this mean is, suppose you are on a website and you created your account, and when you create an account, the server creates a session ID to remember your account. So whenever you will log in, the server won't ask you again for your username and password. It will just simply remember your device with that session ID, and it will allow you to log in without a password. Now what happens with this vulnerability is that when you will log out or you will close that tab, the session won't get expired, as it gets expired after you log out or you closed the tab. And if an attacker gets the session ID, it can access your account as long as they want. I have demonstrated this session hijacking thing in the How Hackers Hack Instagram video. You can watch that and you can clearly see how dangerous it can be. If someone gets your session ID of Instagram, they can literally have the access of your account without even login password, and you won't even know. Now we have software or data integrity failure. Now what is integrity? Integrity stands for that a data that is presented on the website is accessed in its original form. It is not altered, it is not tempered. But if this vulnerability is present on an application, what an attacker can do, or even what a normal user can do, is they can alter things from their own side. And prime example is price validation. For example, you went to buy something on Amazon and you see a certain price of the product, but while you are using Burp Suite, you interrupted the request and changed the price of one unit from 2000 to 200. Now what it will cost you is 200. It will be shown at the server side that they have sell product of 2000, but you will have to pay only 200. And since there is no integrity check, integrity failure will eventually cause malicious hackers. And we have covered this vulnerability in our lectures as well, where we have practically shown how we changed the price of 100 tickets to literally 0. And this vulnerability is not just limited to changing some prices and all. This can cause remote code execution and privilege escalation as well. Now second last, we have security logging and monitoring failure. Now this happens if the website or application is deployed but the log monitoring is off. If the log monitoring is available on the application, you can see the details of the user that are visiting your sites. You can monitor the IP addresses and their activities as well. But if the log monitoring is off, what an attacker can take advantage of this vulnerability is they can literally attempt 1000 logins. They can create a brute force attack on your website. They can get access to any user's account and you won't even know who is trying to attack. And once they gain access, they can stay inside it as long as they want, and you won't even know that some attacker has gained access because there was no log monitoring available on your application. Now last but not the least, we have mishandling of exceptional conditions. What this means is an application crashes or misbehaves during some error or an unexpected inputs. Now let's understand this with example that you are trying to enter your login credentials on a website to log into your account, but something happens on the server, but that website is well designed and has a secure system. It will just simply pop up a message, something went wrong, please try again later. But if the website is insecure and not well designed, it will behave like it shouldn't. It might dump some codes, it might dump some login credentials, and for example, it might leak some internal informations. For example, if an attacker is trying to log in and the login field requires only numbers, but the attacker is smart and he tries to input some string in the login field. Now what an insecure system that is not secure to handle such exceptional inputs, it will misbehave, It might give inputs of a particular line of code, it might give you the class name, it might give you the library name, and by this the attacker will identify on which coding language this application is based on and on which line of code this vulnerability is there, and they can just simply exploit using a particular attack. So this was the complete OWASP top 10 critical vulnerabilities that are affecting in modern applications, and these are not just vulnerabilities, but these are some patterns that appears again and again in applications, and you have to test these in a legal and safe environment. And if you can understand these top 10 vulnerabilities, you can easily excel in your web pen testing career. Meet you in the next video where I will cover more information that you may need.